Morning, guys. Thank you for joining again today. If you were on our call yesterday, this is day 2 of the training festival. As we did yesterday, we'll just give it a couple of minutes to make sure everybody gets in. We've got high attendance once again, which is great. So please make yourself comfortable, go and grab a cup of tea or coffee, take a toilet break, and we'll get going in a couple of minutes once everybody's in. Morning for those that are just joining. I don't want to sound like a broken record. I'll be saying this a few times, but we're just going to wait a couple of minutes for everybody to get in. So please make yourself comfortable. Go and get some refreshments, and we'll kick off in a couple of minutes. We've got, again, great numbers expected today. So we'll give people a couple of minutes just to make their way in and get comfortable and ready for today's event. I can see one thumbs up there, which means people can hear me, which is a good start. I don't think we had any technical issues yesterday. We're not hoping for any today. And I can see lots of thumbs up now, which is good. We'll kick off in a couple of minutes.
Okay, will I show people the bunny since we've got 2 minutes so they can see what we're going to talk about?
I'm not sure whether we want to do that now. Let's do the introduction and then if we've got time at the end, maybe in the Q&A.
No, I was only going to do it if there was time now. It doesn't need done.
Okay. Or a plug for Friday's session, Ian. I think that's definitely a good time to see it, where we'll be having a panel session on Friday for any of those that haven't signed up, and we'll talk about that later on. This is day 2 of 5 different days of sessions, all happening at 10 o'clock every day. So Ian, that'd be great if you could show the bunny on Friday. I think that'd be brilliant. I love how we do things on the fly here. Morning, guys. For those who have just joined, thank you for making the time to join today's session. Richard can't hear me. I think everybody else can by the thumbs up. Richard, it might be worth you just popping out and popping back in. It may just be yourself. We're going to give it 1 more minute and we'll get going. For those of you that can't hear us, you probably can't hear what I'm saying now, so it doesn't really help. But I'll just pop in the chat for those that you can't hear.
We sometimes get problems with Teams where people can't hear. What we've found is if people log out and log back in again, it seems to fix itself.
Yep, I've just popped that in the chat as well, because then ones that can't hear us won't be able to hear that advice, and I thought that as soon as I said it. Okay, we'll give it 30 more seconds. Hopefully, turn it off and turn it back on again. That's right, Mark. So we'll give it 30 more seconds and then we'll get going. And we've got lots to cover today. Hopefully, lots of interesting things and topics, and get people talking and really engage them Tuesday morning thoughts. Perfect. So it's 10:03. You're just going to hear literally a couple of seconds from me, really, because I did my full introduction yesterday for those that are on the call. Welcome to day 2 of our training festival this week. My name is Chris Lyons. I work in Microsoft Elevate. That is the team that helps you as non-profits with your technology. We're really, really grateful of you taking the time today to do this, and really grateful to our partner Exquitec and also Ian from Charity Excellence that you heard from yesterday. If you're on that call, we do appreciate how busy you guys are that work in non-profits, the multiple different hats you wear, and the missions that you serve. So we're really, really delighted that you've given up your time to spend today. Just a touch of housekeeping. Please use the Q&A to get any questions that you want to ask today. If you can keep yourself muted at all times, that will help. There is a live Q&A session at the end as well, which will try and answer all of the questions that have been asked, But also, again, another plug for Friday's session. There will be a QR code that we'll share later on that you can ask any question at all that you may have as the session goes on today. Pop your question there and we'll get the experts to answer that on Friday. I just want to say before I hand over to Steve, again, thank you to the Exquitec guys for putting this on. Phenomenal numbers again, over 250 people registered for today. These things don't happen without our partners. If you take a look at the UK non-profit sector, there's around 270,000 non-profits out there, 170,000 that we actively that can actively go and get our grants and discounts. And there's not a great team at Microsoft in terms of size. So we rely so heavily on our partners. And we rely really heavily, even more so, on partners that do this on purpose. They don't just serve the sector by accident. And I can say hand on heart that Exquitec are absolutely one of them. And over to you, Steve, to take us through the rest of the session. You'll hear from me at the end, and we'll give you some active next steps. But over to you, Steve.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate that. Morning, everyone. Welcome. Thanks very much for joining us today and for the work that you do supporting your communities. We've called this session Building an AI-Ready Charity, What to Know, What to Do, and What's Possible. Today's not a sales pitch. It's not about hype. It's not about replacing people with technology. It's about helping charities to understand what AI actually means in practice, how to approach it safely and responsibly, and how small charities can start benefiting without big budgets or technical teams. So the people joining us today, you've already heard from Chris from Microsoft, who's done the introduction. You've got myself. I'm an account director for Exquitec. I'll tell you a little bit more about us. I've got my colleague Joseph, who runs our Foundry AI department. And I've also got a good friend, Ian McClintock, who is the founder of Charity Excellence. Hopefully, a number of you will know Ian. Ian's done a lot of work in the charity sector, helping organisations to find funding and basically to support the charity sector. So this is today's agenda. We're delighted to be running this session, as I mentioned earlier, in partnership with Microsoft and also the Charity Excellence Network. So later in the session, Ian, who's the founder of Charity Excellence, is going to be joining me on a Q&A session. We've been working closely with Ian to build an agentic AI assistant specifically designed to support charities. So Ian's got some real world experience of what it means to work on an AI project within the charity sector. And we're hoping that what you will leave with today is a clear set of expectations, a plain English understanding of AI, confidence about what is and what isn't safe. We're going to give you some practical examples, some demos as well of some products, and some clear steps. So firstly, I'd like to give you a little overview on Exquitec. So we are a Microsoft managed partner. We've just been notified a couple of weeks ago that we are now the largest Microsoft partner in Europe, Middle East, and Africa. We hold all of the Microsoft accreditations. So end to end, we deliver every single service that Microsoft offers. Today, from an AI perspective, we were one of the first organizations a number of years ago to obtain the Microsoft AI accreditation. Now, we work across corporate and the charity sector. Here's some examples of just some of the charity partners that we're working with. And what you probably notice is that within this, there are some small local organizations all the way through to some large corporates. The majority of these are looking at or taking advantage of AI technology. So let's just set the scene. So the purpose of this section is really just to demystify AI, just to reduce the fear, explain why this is different from previous tech trends. So what do we actually mean by AI? So when most people hear AI, they think of robots, science fiction, or something very technical. In reality, what we're talking about today is assistive AI. So these are tools that help people think, write, analyze, summarize, and automate routine work. Think of AI as a sort of digital colleague. So we're not looking to replace staff or volunteers. What we are looking to do is to support overstretched teams, which hopefully resonates with a lot of you. It can draft funding applications, it can summarise long documents, it can prepare reports for trustees, it can find information across emails and files, and it can help you reduce administration time. So what's changed recently? Well, AI has moved from a specialist product to everyday. It's now embedded in tools charities already use. The cost and complexity barriers have dropped, and the biggest change isn't the technology itself, it's that AI is now embedded inside familiar, trusted tools. So from a Microsoft perspective, we're looking at things like Outlook, Word, Teams, Excel, rather than sitting somewhere separate. Now, why is AI adopting? Why is it accelerating now? So there's now natural language interfaces. So there's not complicated training or coding that's required. It works with your existing data. There's charity pricing and grants that are specifically available. So there's an Azure grant for $2,000 for every single registered charity with Microsoft. So many organizations are not taking advantage of this. There's stronger governance and security controls. And this is the first time that charities can realistically adopt AI without needing developers, data scientists, or large transformation programs. However, we do hear that people have concerns around data privacy, safeguarding, ethical use, hallucinations and inaccuracies within AI. So AI should only ever see what the user is already allowed to see. So in a Microsoft environment, Copilot already respects your existing permissions, your security groups and your policies. This means that it doesn't suddenly expose sensitive data or bypass safeguarding controls. So the key principle is that AI is a tool, not an authority, and all the humans that are using it, they remain accountable. So before we talk about AI technology or what's possible, I just want to look at the reality at the moment for the charity sectors. So what charities are dealing with day to day is generally not a skills issue or a leadership issue, it's a pressure issue. So the pressures that charities face today across the sector that we see are small teams wearing multiple hats, really heavy administration and reporting requirements, especially for things like funding. There's always the increased demand for services, huge funding uncertainties at the moment, and rising expectation around governance, compliance, and assurance. So many charities are being asked to do more, to provide more, and to report more, often with the same resources or fewer. So what's the digital reality of this? Well, for most charities, they have spreadsheets everywhere. Email is acting as their filing system. There's some type of CRM, often not well planned out or well structured, and it's used inconsistently. A lot of the knowledge is in the actual individual's head rather than on some type of system. And there's lots of legacy systems that were generally designed some time ago that everybody relies on. This isn't a failure. This is a normal state of digital maturity for lots of the charities that we start working with, specifically the small and medium-sized organisation. So you're not behind. This is very, very typical. There's also a fear around AI and a lack of practical guidance. So when AI enters the conversation, we generally hear the same unspoken concerns. Will we get it wrong? Will we breach data protection? We don't have the skills, and probably the most common, we can't afford it. There is one other challenge that we see all the time. Many charities are hearing a lot about AI, but they're not being shown real practical use cases in their sector. So not examples that relate to charities. They don't get the guidance as to where to start. No clarity on how to turn an idea into a real use case, and not support in choosing the right technology rather than just adding more technology to sometimes, an overgrown tech stack. So as a result of all these things, AI feels abstract, risky, or over-engineered instead of useful. So AI adoption, it isn't about being perfect or advanced. It's about being intentional. It's about being cautious and being practical. And this is the most important point that really I want to leave you with. Small and medium charities often have the biggest and most to gain from practical AI because it gives so much time back. So time for beneficiaries, time for volunteers, time for impact. So AI doesn't just favor big organizations, it favors organizations with clear purpose and clear priorities. Even small gains can add a real benefit. Saving 30 minutes, 60 minutes per person per day is generally transformational in a charity environment. So what I want to do now is I want to introduce Ian McClintock. We've been working with Ian for almost a couple of years now. Ian's a trusted voice in the charity sector and has a really deep understanding of the SMB charity environment and also real world data and AI adoption, not theory. So Ian, thanks for joining us today. You work with tens and thousands of charities. What are you seeing right now in terms of pressure, capacity and confidence?
I mean, the sector has been in a kind of never-ending funding crisis since COVID. If you look back, the days of the COVID funding were kind of the good old days now. And it's been made a lot worse because those crises are driving up demand. Demand puts much more pressure on charities in terms of delivery. It also increased their cost pressures. And so people are now really stretched. I mean, some of the stuff on social, it's really tough out there. Now, we hope with the anti-poverty measures that came in the budget, that will help depressurize it slightly. But you listen to the Gulf, you listen to the economic stuff, you listen to the latest CAF result, not sure. Our latest fundraising outlook isn't great, to be honest, but we're hoping there will not be another fundraising crash.
Okay. And what's getting harder for charities?
Charities, to be blunt, have three priorities: funding, funding, and funding. And although it's less of a focus, people are desperately hard pressed. There are people out there working outrageous hours, trying to just make it work. And I see this as a matter of routine in charity social media groups, people who are really, really struggling to keep going.
Okay. And where are the teams most stretched, would you say?
I actually think it's that endemic, and it's been going on for so long that it's pretty much everyone. I mean, what I tend to see is a lot of the chief executives are under huge pressure, but I think it's just about everyone. If there was ever any slack in the system, it's long gone.
Okay. And do you think technology can or will have an impact on this?
Catch-22. What the data shows us is that the charities are not at all AI ready and that we're not actually making a great deal of progress. But if we do it well, it has the capacity to drive up overall fundraising income. I could spend ages explaining it, but trust me, I think that's a real potential. It improves efficiency. And I see that in myself all the time. It really punches the admin workload out and helps you to catch your breath. It enables you to achieve more so you can drive greater impact. And the one that I really don't hear people talking about is accessibility. I mean, our priority people are often the marginalized, the small groups. People with learning difficulties, people with English as a second language, people who are not confident around tech. And AI actually has the capability to sweep that way. You can talk to the bunny in Gujarati or any other language you like, and it enables people to just talk like human beings. It has the potential to really, really reach out to beneficiaries, again, as long as we do it and we do it well.
Okay. So AI readiness, when charities talk to you about AI, what are they most worried about?
It's fully embedded in only very few charities. It's round about 10%. A word I keep hearing is fear and uncertainty. It's people are going, I can see it. I don't want to get left behind, but I hear about the ethics, I hear about the risks, I hear about the cyber security, I hear an awful lot about data protection, and those are genuine issues. Those are
Yeah.
not things that you can just ignore. And people are just not quite sure how to do them. They don't feel sure-footed enough to do that. And those are the issues. But if we remove those barriers, then there is absolutely nothing to stop us.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier of something that keeps coming back to me all the time is use cases. There's so much tech out there, so many organizations popping up all the time with AI services and products, but a lot of the charities I speak to, they want to see specific use cases for their sector, and that's the feedback that I've got. Would you concur with that?
Yes, people really want to know how to make it work for them in their organization. And it's growing. What we need to do is we need to get that kind of expertise out, and we need to help people with issues like cybersecurity and data protection. So our AI Ready program and our training is all aimed about stripping those problems away from people.
Yeah, okay. So after we spoke, you had a platform that was existing, and our conversation led you to explore agentic AI rather than just traditional chat tools. Why was that?
I mean, I've got the bunny on the website helps individuals, kids, all sorts, and it's a traditional chat bunny and it works fine. But I've got a problem that when we start talking about things like corporate fundraising and all sorts of stuff, the people that are coming to us don't really necessarily know what they need and want because they haven't operated in that area, and they don't necessarily know what we've got and how it works. So the AI has to help them to ask the right questions of it, because otherwise they won't really do it. And so it does really three things. You can just have a conversation with it to start with ideas and initial work, and then you can build on that. And it may sound like Copilot, but the bot actually has its own personality. And it understands charities the way Copilot simply can't, because the bot has been specifically trained to work for charities. And it's using our human curated data sets. So you go out on a big LLM and you say, find me funders that do this or do that, and it'll go and do it, but it doesn't really know, and things are different. What the bunny's doing is going to a data set that we've built and we've structured. We know this is the stuff you want, and what we've put in there are the things that you want. And the bunny knows that being really, really truthful is actually really important. And what that actually means is the bunny is less likely to make mistakes, and it's less likely to hallucinate. So it's a lot safer. And because it's running on our data set, it also burns much, much, much less, tiny amount of energy. And it's using agentic web pages hidden behind the website. And what the thing does is it goes and reads them. So you can literally sit down and have a conversation with the bunny in any language you like, and it's autonomous. It works on its own. It's like talking to a corporate fundraiser, and it will
Okay.
quite happily just chat, and it can do things that humans can't.
So for those people that have never seen your website or your product before, you're supporting charities. So if I was somebody looking for a product or service, I could go to your website, I could talk to a chatbot that's been styled as a bunny, and I can ask it a question and it will go to set sources of data and look at
Yeah.
those set sources of data according to what my question is, and then obtain the information and provide me with an answer. But I suppose that what's the secret sauce within this product that you don't see on a day-to-day basis with products like Copilot?
It's a bit of everything. I mean, firstly, it's working on exactly the kind of data that you need and the information you need. So instead of getting the kind of weird answers back and stuff like that, it will come back and it'll give you very accurate answers. And because it knows who you are and the kind of things you do, when it comes back, it may well come back with prompts and say, oh, you asked me about this. Here is something else I think you would find really useful. And it can read entire data sets. I mean, if I give you a very silly throwaway, you can go into Help Finder and you can say, could you find me a venue in London? And we've got about 140 provided by Charities. We've got everything for you. I said to the bunny, just because I tried it, could you find venues in North London? And it did. And for the life of me, I could not work out how it did it. And after about a couple of weeks, the penny tumbled. It was going into the data set and the text, and it was reading postcodes and locations. And it was going, that's Enfield, that's North London, that's N7, that's North London, that is Westminster, that's not North London. And so it could answer questions that you otherwise can't.
Okay. And how do you feel this type of technology will help charities?
It's it really just depends on the data sets and the information you give it. So we've built one that's for corporate and fundraising and answer questions about give as you earn and all that kind of stuff. But it could be anything. It could be your beneficiary data sets and things like that. And what it does is it doesn't replace you. It doesn't have moral judgment. It doesn't understand context and stuff like that. No AI ever does. But it's like having an extra member of staff. It kind of sits on your shoulder and it lets you do things more quickly and it lets you do things that you couldn't do. And unlike the LLMs, it also helps to minimize things like risk, data protection, hallucinations, mistakes. You can structure and talk to the bunny and choose the data sets to minimize those risks right down. I'm hearing lots of people saying you can't use AI because of data protection. You can't use AI because of the risk. You can't use it. It's not binary. It's not about whether those risks exist or not. They do exist. It's about how you deal with them. And this kind of agentic AI has got huge opportunities. This in maybe 5 years' time, will have totally revolutionized the world, including the charity sector.
Well, my next question was going to be, what impact have you seen so far and what has surprised you?
The fact that it can speak almost any language is really useful. The charity sector, because of the nature of grants, and you have to write terribly well, and it's 8 pages long, and you have to do this and you have to do that, it's kind of structured against marginalized groups. So, you know, if your English isn't really terribly good, or you don't understand fundraising and you've got learning difficulties, you're excluded. And so the fact that someone can come in and talk to it in Arabic and work with it on a grant writing bid in Arabic and then say to it, would you then translate that into English and then send it into the local council, enables people who were otherwise excluded. And that's great. And it's the same with your written English. What's two things surprised me. Work out whether he works or not. I pushed him into corners by asking him to do things I knew he couldn't. So I asked him for chocolate companies in Devon, and I asked him for loads of them, and I knew there is only one. And he came back and he said, there's Moo Free Chocolate in Devon. That's it. But he also knows he's really got to help you and that you guys need loads of stuff. So he came back with, well, I haven't got any more, but I've got Burt's Crisps. And if you're looking for chocolate, you probably can. He came back with a farm shop. Well, what's a farm shop? They sell chocolate. And then he came back with a couple of companies. And the companies didn't do chocolate or crisps or anything like that, but they gave you money, and he knows that charities really need money. And what is interesting about that is if you had asked me that question, that's the answer I would have given you. And the second thing is he does things I can't. I'll give you an example of the venues. Another one was, I thought, well, actually, wouldn't it be actually quite interesting to know what sectors support what causes are most popular, what types of companies support is most common, etc., etc., etc. And I asked him that, and he did it instantaneously. Normally, you would need to wait for CAF to write a gigantic report. He can do this stuff on the fly. I then did ask him to do something else like that, and he told me to hop off. So clearly he's not quite there. He has his own personality. He decided he'd done enough for the day and he wasn't going to do it again. But he was doing things that currently you'd say, well, actually, we need a major survey and we need to go out to people and we need. No, he did it on the fly.
Okay. And closing question, Ian, if you could give one piece of advice to charities thinking about AI, what would it be?
I'm really old. I lived through the internet and the digital revolution. It massively, massively changed our world. And most of what we thought it would do, it didn't. We got it wrong. AI is going to change our world even more fundamentally and much faster. And whether that's a huge risk for you or a huge opportunity, in large measure, it really depends on what you do about it. So whatever you do, don't do nothing, to be honest. And I do appreciate that. How do you pick this stuff when you don't really understand it? Well, we've got AI ready that the system will take you through. We've got our AI training, it will take you through that. But really what you want is a safe pair of hands. If you don't know how to do it, you need to pick someone that does. Now, you can call me a fan of big tech if you like or not, but we've been looking at these kind of things and working with enterprise level systems is a lot better than some. There are tiny things, there are companies springing up everywhere. They phone me up and ask me for advice. I'm not even a techie. That's really dodgy. The main ones. And people like Exquitec, where you've got the Microsoft accreditation. Microsoft are not going to let a company run around screwing up its reputation. And therefore, if someone's got Microsoft accreditations, then that is a very good indicator that you can trust them. And we partner with tech companies, people like Exquitec, and we would not partner with people we didn't trust. So is that a plug for Exquitec? Yeah. Is it kind of a plug for Microsoft? Yeah. Would I say it if I didn't think it was true? No, I wouldn't.
Brilliant. Well, Ian, thank you so much for joining today. I know you do a lot in the sector to help a number of charities, and you've got some really good insights. So really appreciate you joining us today, and I'm glad that you're getting out some real value from the tools that we've developed for you. So that's brilliant. Thanks, Ian.
Thank you.
What I'd now like to do is I'd like to hand over to my colleague Joseph, who's one of our team from our AI department. And Joseph is going to give some foundations around AI, give some insights, and also a live demo and some examples, some real life use cases of how the technology can be used within the sector. Thanks, Joseph.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Ian, for the introduction. And thanks everyone for your presence. So what I will try to do in this part of the presentation is to give you some hints, some best practices, some things we have done, and some lesson learned to help you more prepare for your next AI project. So I will first start talking about the data. why data is important. Then I will move to the AI adoption process, how you prepare for your AI project. And finally, I will speak about the Microsoft AI stack, or the technology that we can use to build AI projects. So here, what I'm going to tell you about is why data is important. We all know that AI is trained on data. So there is no AI without a huge amount of data. So building an AI project or an AI solutions highly depends on what kind of data or the quality of data you have, because you don't want the results to be biased. You don't want the results to be inaccurate or wrong. If you have a chatbot, you don't want to get wrong answers. You don't want outdated or duplicated, let's say, answers or duplicated data in your reports. Also, you have an interest to govern or to centralize your data so the AI can easily get the answer it is looking for. Plus, you want to make sure that every user has the right access. So things you can consider when preparing for your AI projects is standardizing or centralizing the data used by the AI. And here it's very important to differentiate between the data and the data used by the AI, because you can have data silos. You can have your CRM, your data on your website, your data coming from different source. This is not what we want to centralize, but what we want to centralize is only the data used by the AI. This is what we call, the technical term is the semantic layer. This is the layer that feeds the AI, because not all of your data is going to be used. Maybe some of them, maybe the most relevant. And this is where it should be easy for the AI to read the data and make sure that the data is accurate and correct and have good quality. An example of bad quality data is the data having a lot of duplications, a lot of inconsistencies, numbers are inaccurate. So if you are, this is what we call garbage in, garbage out. If this is what we are going to feed the AI, the answers are not going to be accurate. The second part is governing your data. That means you don't want a user who should not read about or get information about financial numbers or data related to another department to be able to get it through the agent. This is where we need to make sure that every piece of data or information used has the correct role access control or the security level applied to each user correctly. Also, you want to maintain your data life cycle. To give you an example, if we have a chatbot or a Copilot using your data on SharePoint or on your website, and you uploaded a new version of the document, you need to make sure that you are removing the old version. You are not keeping deprecated or old documents as a knowledge source for the AI. So here we need an owner, someone who is responsible of paying attention or maintaining the life cycle of the documents. And if you have all of this, you will be sure that the AI is going to give you the desired outcome and desired results. So how you before talking about the adoption, let's see how AI is used today and try to get like a taxonomy of what are the AI or machine learning families that can help non-charities. So today, the numbers are showing that more and more non-profits and UK charities are using AI, but still, for example, if you see 92% of non-charities are using AI, but only 7% are seeing real value or they are seeing improvements. This is the difference between we are using AI and we are driving value from AI. Also, the numbers show that most of the AI utilization is individually driven. That means it comes from the users themselves. A user might himself buy a license, GPT, Claude, Copilot, and he's using AI on his own, and it might not be a project or an idea coming from the top or from the organization itself. If we look at some examples of how AI is used today, for example, the Salvation Army in UK is using AI for personalization. So it's no more one solution or one strategy that fits all. Every donor, every person, he will have his own message, his own conversion strategy, his or her own approach. So AI here is helping nonprofit personalize messages, emails, recommendation based on the donor's profile. Also, personalization is used by Pancreatic Cancer UK in order to do uplift or I don't know if the term is correct, but it's upsell as well. So to convert one-time donors into multi-time donors or to double the donation. So also AI is used to personalize, to provide, to make the checkout more, let's say, optimized and dedicated to each profile. Another use case is audio processing. So Age UK, for example, is using AI to help them process their phone service audio records. So in this case, if you have a call center or you are receiving calls and you are saving these calls, AI can process these data, can summarize the calls, can do sentiment analysis, can extract the main points or the main issues discussed and help you take action based on the results you obtained. Another example is AI-powered fundraising. This is where AI, for example, it can help in personalizing the ask amounts. The technical term is look-alike modeling. Let's say I have a potential donor or a list or maybe existing donors, and I want to propose something more personalized or ask for a personalized amount. So I can compare them to my existing active or let's say more active donors. And based on the similarity, we can propose something say dedicated to a segment or a cluster of persons or donors. So this is an example of how AI can personalize, and even the amounts asked are personalized and no more generic. Other examples are automation. So AI can be integrated into existing ERPs or in existing systems like Salesforce, CRMs, or others in order to automate some process like documents processing, automating the donor's journey, or other, let's say, processes. And it can be used for operation like supply chain and disaster recovery and things not directly related to donations, but more related to large scale operation. So if you want to summarize, the four big categories are predictive AI and machine learning. Predictive AI is something different from LLMs. This is where we create models and we train them on the data. Examples is what is the optimal ask amounts to ask, doing lookalike modeling to find the new value supporters, doing supply chain displacement forecasting, what marketing channel is the most efficient. This is the marketing mix modeling. Other use cases are Gen AI or agentic AI. This is where we use LLMs to generate documents, draft grants, personalize messages, or searching for information from a knowledge base. The third category is document intelligence. This is where we use AI to process audios, videos, PDFs, words, or any type of unstructured data we receive. And fourth category is related to vision and the speech. This is where we process videos, images, and audios. You can imagine application like Avatar, text to speech, converting speech to text, processing images taken from drones or cameras. So all of these can be some fields that nonprofits or charities might consider for their next AI projects. But before starting, I need to go through the AI adoption process. So we don't usually start by implementing the AI solution, but we need to go through several steps to make sure that the AI solution is successful. So the four major steps are plan, govern, and secure, build, and operate. The one big mistakes most organizations do is skipping the plan or skipping the governance and starting directly with building the AI. And this will certainly lead most of the time to a failing AI project. The plan phase is very important. And here I want to talk about three main things that organizations or nonprofits should do in this phase. The first is making sure that the business problem is clear, like what we are trying to solve. What is the problem we want to solve? When defining the problem, we need to ask also, is AI the right tool? Because everyone today is talking about AI, it's the hype. But before AI, we were solving problems using traditional approach. They are less expensive, they doesn't cost like AI, and they are fast and more accurate and more deterministic. So not all problems are, let's say, or should be solved using AI. So here we need to ask also this question. And when defining the business problem, we need to define the success metric. What makes this project successful? Because this is the decision gate. This is how later on in step 4, we want to evaluate what we developed. We need to evaluate our AI project. The second point is organizational readiness. AI should not be treated like an isolated project. It should be like a product. It should have an owner, someone responsible of 3 points. The first point is the behavior of the AI. Is the AI behaving correctly? So we need someone who is accountable for what the AI is producing. Second, someone who is responsible for what data is the AI using. So we need to make sure the data is of good quality, it is accurate, and also someone who is responsible of making sure the AI is evolving. It's not like a one-time product, but it's a product that is maintained, it's improved with time. And the third important point in the planning phase is the data. So we talked about the importance of the data. We want an AI use case, but the question is, do we have the right data to develop this AI use case? So we have defining the business problem, organization readiness, and the data. When all of these are well defined, we move to governance and security. Here we ask ourselves, who should access the AI? Who should use the AI? And if we have different roles per users, we need to make sure that nobody is getting information that he should not get. This is a very important thing to discuss before, to look at before building the AI. Also, we need to make sure that the AI is responsible. This is what we call responsible AI. To give you examples, we need an AI that is not, let's say, non-inclusive. We need an AI that can be used by anyone, even people with reduced mobility. We need AI that is fair and not biased. We need an AI that is reliable, and we need an AI with accountability. And this is where this is why we need a product owner, an AI owner, because of course, AI itself is not going to be accountable. It's the owner himself who is going to be accountable if mistakes or inaccurate decisions or output are given by the AI. Step 3, this is where you build the AI, you build the idea, and this is where we need to clearly define what the AI should do, what it should not do. And this is where we decide if, let's say, we are building an agent, if we need a single agent, if we need a multi-agent, if we need a predictive AI. So this is where we answer all these questions. And of course, we need to make sure we are capable of tracing the behavior of the AI. That means if we have a chatbot or an agent or an AI taking decisions, every step should be traceable. It should be logged somewhere in a database or in a place that you can later on come and verify if everything is going as expected. Step 4, this is where you integrate the AI in your business process. It should not be like a project or a product that is, let's say, not accessible or not easily accessible by the user. It should be integrated, let's say, in your CRM, in your Teams channel, somewhere the users are more active. It should be easily manageable, visible for evaluation, and you need to continuously improve this product. Now, in order to this, let's say you have several AI ideas, because most of the time we don't have only one idea or one use case. We have several use cases and we need to prioritize. In order to decide, we can use what we call the AI impact matrix. So there are two main dimensions. So to be able to decide where to start or what ball to roll first, you can ask two questions. What is the use case that has the highest business impact? And what is the use case that is easy or doesn't require technical complexity? But I will add a third dimension, which I will talk about in the next slides, is user desirability, because based on our experience, this is also an important dimension to consider. Let's take an example. We have several ideas. What to avoid, what are distractions, is, let's say, over-engineered internal chatbot. I want a chatbot that reads 2 or 3 documents and summarize them. It's easy to do. It's straightforward, but it doesn't have high business impact because it's a chatbot that might be used by 2 or 3 users. It doesn't require a lot of documents. So these are the small ideas. They might be useful for 2 or 3 persons, but not the kind of projects you want to start first. Also, you might have a very beautiful idea. I want an unsupervised program, an AI that assess grants autonomously, approve, reject, without human interference. This is a very beautiful idea, but it is risky. Plus, it requires a lot of implementation effort to do. It's not something you can do in 2 or 3 days. What are the examples of quick wins? These are the simple tasks that have high impact on users. These are the tasks that are done every day by most of the users: drafting emails, summarizing meetings, translating reports, working with donors, donor segmentation, for example, writing, let's say, personalized message to donors. So these are the quick wins. They are not very complicated to do, and they have the highest business value. This is where you want to start. This is where you want to test your first AI projects. And you might have also projects that you think they are important, they have high business value, but they are a little bit complicated to develop. So these what we call the future scale. This is the next step. Let's say multi-agent system for grant evaluations, or automated donor matching engines, or deep historical archive analysis. So these are very interesting use case, but they are also they require implementation effort. When it comes to governance and security, you need to enforce responsible AI. It's not only about ethics, it's about making sure that there is a human who is in control, who is accountable. So the AI should not take decision in the place of humans, it should support humans. You need to apply the least privilege principle. That means we only grant access to the data we need. This is the minimal access permission. We don't give the AI things that they are not needed by the AI. And you need to have a clear data ownership, someone who is responsible of making sure the data are correct, are versioned, we are using the latest version, someone who is making sure of training the users, explaining why this AI project is important, and someone who is accountable of how the AI is behaving. When it comes to deploying the AI, it's the last step you want to do. Make sure you embed the AI in daily workflows. Don't put it in a separate web application where users use it rarely. Make sure it's in a place users use most of the time. Example, Microsoft Teams. I will end this part or this section with 5 reasons why AI project fails. The first reason is the separate portal. You created a very beautiful AI solution, but it is on a separate website, and with time, users will forget it because they don't see it every day in their daily process. The second reason, and this is why I added a third dimension here, the user desirability, because this is a main reason why AI fails, because you might have something called the quiet resistance. We need to ask ourselves, does the users need this AI solution? Are they happy with it? Is it something that is really required? Are they going to adopt it, to accept it? Because most of the time we create something very beautiful and it's not used. So the utilization is very low. And this is really an important reason to why AI fails. Third reason is the orphaned AI, the orphaned agent. This is when you create an AI project without an owner, without someone who is responsible of keeping it alive, training the other users, explaining why it is important, doing documentation, updating it, managing the data. This is also why with time, this AI project will not be used anymore. The complexity trap, don't start with the most complex ideas or project, start with the quick wins. And the efficiency plateau, this is where you have an AI that has limitations because it's not well documented, it's not the workflows are not clear, users are not seeing the full potential. So this is also why we need a project owner or an AI owner for any AI or idea or project. Now I will move to the technologies. So in the Microsoft ecosystem, what are the tools we can use to create AI projects? I will start from the quick wins, the easiest one, to the ones requiring more sophistication and implementation. The first one is the Copilot, Microsoft Copilot. This is your starting point. This is where you can do most of the repeatable tasks without technical expertise or challenges. How it is used today: drafting emails, meeting transcription, preparing presentation, analyzing Excel files, drafting emails, summarizing emails. These are the common case that everyone uses in a company. Other cases are grant writing acceleration. For example, you can use Copilot in Word to draft proposals. You can even tell this Copilot to inspire from your existing proposals to write a new one. For communication, you can use Copilot in Outlook to draft personalized thank you email to donors. analyzing Excel files. Let's say you have an Excel with thousands of rows. You can use Copilot in Excel or Copilot in PowerPoint to prepare slides. And if you do meetings using Teams, you can use Copilot for Teams to transcribe, summarize, and get fast insights from your meetings. The second technology or tool is Copilot Studio. So what is Copilot Studio and how it is different from the Microsoft Copilot? Copilot Studio, this is where you are able to add more customization, to add more, let's say, personalized feature to your agents. So if we take M365 Copilot, let's say Copilot for Word, it's an out-of-the-box tool. You can use it, but you cannot customize it. Copilot Studio, it's something designed for users who are not software engineers, who doesn't, let's say, write code, but they are okay with designing or customizing AI solution using something called low-code, no-code conversational AI platform. So you can create a solution without writing code using a visual interface that allows you to do plenty of customized, let's say, features. So the Copilot Studio, these are agents that are connected to your SharePoint, to your Microsoft ecosystem. They know your message. They can connect to your Teams message, to your emails. They can do web search. They can access external data. You can automate the process. You can do tasks like understanding, translation, summarization. And you can also complement or add more features, which I will discuss later on, from the Azure or Microsoft Azure to make these agents more powerful. Examples of how these agents are used: you can create an interactive website with a 24/7 web assistant that answer questions about donations, about events, or about your knowledge. Also, you can create internal agents. You can put these agents on Teams or on SharePoint. Examples, HR agents, IT agents, accounting or financial agents that are connected to, let's say, your internal knowledge base. Also, these agents have connectors. They can be used to enhance M365 agents or to connect to third party like Dynamics, Salesforce, SAP, and other ERP systems. That said, there are also reasons to use Microsoft Cloud, because these agents are good, but they are not enough. So why we might need to go to Azure or to use Microsoft? This is the technical name is Microsoft Foundry. This is the new name Microsoft gave to their AI platform on Azure. So let's say you want to do deep customization. You need to fine-tune your language models. You have a huge data archive, like more than 5,000 or 10,000 documents that you want to use for your knowledge base, containing handwritten text, so they need OCR. So for such use cases that are more complex, this is where the Microsoft Cloud comes, and this is where it can help doing these advanced or complex AI solution. So this is the part that I will show you some examples of the power of Microsoft Foundry. So Microsoft Foundry is the AI and agent factory of Microsoft. It is hosted on Microsoft Azure, the Microsoft Cloud, and it can help you build sophisticated AI. So before discussing the Microsoft Foundry, let's differentiate between chatbot, Copilot, and agent. So I will do this with simple examples. If you have a website and you want users to ask a question, get answers like what are your opening hours, how do I donate, this is where you can create a chatbot that uses a knowledge base, and it is something easy to do. You can do it with Microsoft Copilot, with Copilot Studio. A Copilot is an AI that helps you, for example, draft the grant proposal. It's an example Copilot for Word or Copilot for Excel. Summarize, it gives you suggestion. So it goes beyond simple question answer. It helps you do other tasks. However, an agent, it's something more autonomous. Let's say you have a database of donors and you want something that automatically go to this database, identify the donors who are at risk, write for each one an engagement email, and send the emails to the donors. This is where an agent comes in place. It's something that does several, let's say, actions autonomously, or of course the human has to follow up to give a feedback at some place, but it has more autonomy than chatbots or copilots. So what are the features we have on this Microsoft Foundry? We have the models. I will discuss each one in details. We have the agents. We have something called IQ. I will show you an example about this one. We have tools and machine learning. Let's start with the models. So what are the models? These are the LLM you are using to generate stuff. We have several types of LLMs or models. We have the ones that are called text generation. Example, GPT-4o, GPT-4.1. They are used to draft thank you messages, to write grant application, to summarize, to generate social media posts. So these are the models you are using most of the time. You have also the image generation model. An example is GPT image, DALL-E E3, Stable Diffusion. This is where you give a prompt, you give a question, and as output, you are not going to get a text, but you are going to get an image, an infographic, a diagram, something that is not a text. You have the reasoning models. These are also LLMs, but they have the capability to reason. They are used for more sophisticated tasks. Example, you want to analyze 5 years of donor CRM data and find who are the donors that are at risk. In this case, a reasoning model makes more sense to use. Or you have a task that requires high accountability, let's say evaluating a grant eligibility. In this case, you can use a reasoning model to support your decision-taking process. And finally, you have the multimodal interfaces. These are the models that deal with audio, with video, with speech. Example, the GPT-4o real-time. This is when you speak with the AI speech to speech. These are the voice APIs, or the text to speech, speech to text, video analysis. So these are called the multimodal interface. Now, I will show you briefly the Foundry interface. So it's here. And here I have the model catalogs. So let's say I'm looking for a model. You can see it's not only limited to Microsoft model. We have GPT from OpenAI, we have Claude, we have Qwen, we have Mistral, we have DeepSeek. But what we need to pay attention is these models are hosted on Microsoft Cloud. That means when you use GPT, when you use DeepSeek, when you use Claude, you are not sending your prompt or your question to OpenAI or Claude or DeepSeek. You are sending them to Microsoft because these models are hosted on Microsoft data centers. And inside your Azure tenant or subscription, you have full control on the data. The data doesn't quit your subscription. That means your data is your proprietary. It's not going elsewhere to be used for training or fine tuning. So what Microsoft is doing is is having collaboration with these big vendors, and it is hosting the models on its data centers to allow you to use them while making sure the data doesn't quit your tenant or subscription. So here we have several sort of models depending on what we want to do. So here we have example of tasks, audio to text, audio generation, audio analysis, chat completion. So we have plenty of use case, image to 3D, image to image. So all of these are use case where we can find from the catalog the corresponding or the most appropriate AI model. When we select the model, let's say, it's a one-click deploy. So all I have to do is to click deploy, and I will deploy the model on my Azure subscription. So it is very straightforward. The second service is the agent service. So in the agent service, you can create agents. So what is the difference between an agent and a model? An agent is powered by a model. So an agent uses, let's say, GPT-4 or Claude or other. But what it has special is the ability to call tools. So we have seen here that we have tools. Example of tools is going to the web and doing search, or going to your database and looking at your donors' data. Also, it has memory, because the objective of an agent is to do long-running tasks or create copilots. So we need the agent to remember what you asked 2 days ago or 3 days ago. So when you have an LLM plus tools plus memory, you can call it an agent. We have also something called multi-agent. This is where you have several agents working together. To give you an example, you have a complex workflow, like writing, let's say, a proposal or a grant application. You need an agent that is only dedicated to doing research. You need another agent dedicated to writing the proposal, and you need an agent to make sure that it is compliant with, let's say, the prerequisites or the rules you have at the beginning. And you can add what we call a human in the loop, or the human feedback, to make sure the agent is behaving appropriately. Let me give you an example, show you an example. So let's say I have a database of donors. So what you are seeing here is Microsoft Fabric, a data lake, a lake house, where we can have our data. I have donors with their emails, total donation, and information about, let's say, their interests, behavioral or geographical information, risk for churning, preferred channel, and so we have numbers. In addition to these data, we might have, let's say, documents, internal documents, like guidelines, how to write a grant, how to send an email, the best way to send an email to a donor. So we can go to the Microsoft Foundry, and we can select agents and decide to build an agent. So when building an agent, let's say my data is on Microsoft Fabric, it could be on another database. I add this data source as tools. This is here you can see we have a tool. And now, and also I can select a model. I'm using GPT 4.1, and I can ask question like, who are my top 5 donors. So the agent here is going to the database, to this database here. It's going to run some SQL queries, which are usually done by technical people, and it's going to send me back the results. So here, for example, I have the results. Who are my top 5 donors? I have the results here. I can ask, for example, give me more details about this donor. So these are tasks before. In order to do them before, we used to ask our database admins, our software engineers, to create portals or dashboards or run the queries to get the information. Today, anyone can ask a question in natural language, and he can get instant, let's say, information. So here we have a summary about this donor. I can follow up, I can ask whatever question. And what is good, remember we talked about traceability. We need to understand what is happening. So here, for example, if I go to the traces part, I can see all the conversations. So this is the one I used now. And I can see how the agent is behaving. For example, this is, let's say, my question. This is the output. And in order to generate this output, the agent called a tool called a remote function. He went to Microsoft Fabric, he retrieved the data, and he sent me back a message. So here I make sure that the AI or the agent is calling the right tools in order to give me back the data I need. So this is an example of a single agent. Now, let's say I want to build a multi-agent system. This is what is called a workflow. So a workflow, you can see it's like a process where we have several agents working together. So let's say I want an agent to help me assess a grant proposal. So I can give it the grant, the document, let's say, and this agent, it's going to give that first, assess if we need to revise the report, because if you tell the agent, hello, how are you, without a report or something to analyze, it should not do something. It should end the conversation by replying to you with a simple message. But let's say I uploaded a document. In this case, the first agent who is assessing what is the intent of the user, what kind of question is he asking? Is it a greeting, or is it something that requires a task? So if this orchestrator agent decided that here we have a report that we need to revise, it will give the hand to a second agent called the charity agent planner. And this agent is going to analyze the document and give the hand to a third agent called decision support agent. So this agent is going to tell us, okay, based on this document, these are my remarks, you should accept, you should reject. But notice the final step is not the agent, it's the human. So at the end, the agent is going to write the report, it's going to give its opinion, but it will ask the human to provide the decision. Like, this is my summary, this is what I found. It's up to you to accept or reject. So it's not the agent who is going to give the final decision. This is an example of a multi-agent workflow that we can easily create using Microsoft Foundry. Other use cases are content understanding. This is where we upload documents and the AI is going to generate instant insights. Let me show you a fast demo here. So let's say I have documents, audio, video. Let's say I have this audio. So this service will take it. It's going to transcribe the audio. It's going to give a summary, the topics discussed, the companies, the people, sentiment, categories. If it's a video, it's going to provide description, information about the video itself. If it's an invoice, it's going to extract information. So this is the AI tools that are used for automation. For if you have plenty of documents, you are receiving emails with attachments, you can use this service to automatically extract structured information from unstructured data. Also, Microsoft is proposing their IQ layer. This is a very interesting tool that it's still in preview. And this is where we combine everything into one agent. So let's say you have your emails, your Teams chat, your meetings, your documents. This is what is called the work IQ. Also, you have the data. Examples, the donors database I just presented. This is called the fabric IQ or the semantic IQ. For example, you have your database and you have your knowledge base, your documents, your PDFs. This is called the Foundry IQ. You can combine the three together and have an agent that is capable of answering data coming from several places. How it works, so we have this sophisticated agentic retrieval system. So when you ask a question, let's say, which major donors haven't given in 12 months, or which major donors haven't given 12 months, and propose a follow-up strategy. So the AI or the engine is going to take this question and divide it into several sub-questions, because each question can involve 2 or 3 knowledge source. So they are divided into several sub-questions. Each one is run independently. So we have here for each one an AI call. At the end, we have a step that merges all the answer in order to give the user answer from several, let's say, sources. So this is how we can combine data coming from database plus data coming from SharePoint. Let me show how this can be easily done. So when building an agent, so this same agent, I asked it about donors, but also I can ask it about how to draft a grant, let's say, something like this. And here, when I add tools, so tools can come from Fabric, from SharePoint, let's say from my, let's say, Work IQ. So this is here, I can add Work IQ, for example, or other systems. Let's say I wanted to go to the Bing search, to the web, or do web search. I wanted to go, let's say, to do browser automation. So we have plenty of tools. We can create a single agent that is getting data from several sources. It's the same agent that can give me the answer about who are my top 10 donors, and it's the same agent who can tell me how to draft a grant application using internal freeform. You can see the references are internal documents. They are not just hallucination. And the final category of use case are the custom one. This is not a Gen AI. This is predictive AI. It's machine learning. This is where you want to build something customized to your business. Example, predictive donor modeling, look-alike modeling. What is the best amount to suggest for a given donor, or finding new donors who look like your best ones. This is called look-alike modeling. Marketing mix modeling, knowing which channels actually drive donations, or supply chain crisis prediction. All of these are custom use cases, are not out of the box, and we can use the Azure platform to train and build these AIs. So I will end my section by telling you that nonprofits today, they have access to 20K US dollar Azure credits they can use on Azure. And these credits can be used for tasks like document processing. For example, with this amount, you can process around 100K to 150K pages of document per year. You can create an internal chatbot, for example, for your nonprofit, or you can create an agentic workflow that search donors, draft personalized briefing. You can do several applications with this amount. Steve can tell you more about this. So thank you. This is my part.
Brilliant. Thank you, Joseph. Really, really insightful. There have been a lot of questions throughout. I know both Ian and myself have been going through to answer as many of these as possible. I will just have a quick, I don't know if anybody's got any specific questions that they haven't had answered. If they want to pop them into the question and answer section now, and we will try and get through to those if there are any. I know there's been conversations going on both Q&A and the chat, but if there's anything that anybody wants answered, if they want to pop it in the Q&A section. While we do that, Chris, if I hand over to you, and if you want to just brief everyone on the up and coming sessions that you've got.
Yeah, perfect. And thank you guys, both of you, or all three of you, for the presentation today. Very insightful, very deep, a lot of information to take in, and I'm wary that we've got 4 minutes. So again, if you just look at the screen now, this is day 2 of 5, as I say. We have another session with another partner tomorrow around cybersecurity. On Thursday, we have a deeper look into fundraising with another of our partners for Good.Tech. And then Friday, we're going to bring it all back together and have this panel session that I mentioned at the start of the call. That will be a lot of asked questions that we've not got around to throughout the week. So if you do have anything and you haven't dropped it in the Q&A now, and I'm sure that Steve will do his best to get back to you in there, but please scan this QR code and we will collate these questions and make sure we ask it to the Exquitec guys on Friday. And hopefully that will be knowledge for all of you to be able to share. So that's that one. If you just look to the next slide, please, Steve. We tried to collate as much information as we could onto one slide here, but without it being ridiculous amounts of links. I know that there's been some shared as the session's been going on, but there's 2 from us and 2 from Ian McClintock on here. So the 2 from us is around the skilling and the credentials that we offer for free. And also the resources that are on there at Nonprofit Skills. And then Ian's got 2 that he mentioned earlier, one around his AI courses for charities, and then also the survey that's really important and great feedback to us. I'm just seeing some of the chat saying, can we have the recording from yesterday? That will be available probably by the end of the week. Once it has to be edited and nicely packaged, and then will be sent out to everybody that has registered for any of these sessions throughout the week. So you didn't even have to register yesterday. If you register for this one, we will share it with the Exquitec guys that have got your information, and they'll be able to share that as well. I know there was a ridiculous amount of information shared there, so please go and have a coffee, go and get some fresh air, and Steve, I'll hand back over to you for closing.
Brilliant. Thanks, Chris. One thing I would say is we mentioned earlier that we're a Microsoft partner working specifically in the charity sector. One thing that we do is we're very aware that you receive discounted rates on licensing, There's also been some questions in the chat in relation to getting access to the $2,000 of Azure spend. If anybody's got any questions in relation to that, I've shared my email address. By all means, reach out to me and I can assist you getting that grant. In relation to licensing, we're a Microsoft Direct partner. One of the things we do is we provide additional discounts on top of the discounted charity rate that Microsoft provide. So if you are subscribing to Microsoft licensing and you'd like to further reduce your spend, even if it's on the charity rate, reach out to me. We can review your licensing for you, and on average we can save between 5 to 10% on the charity rates that you're paying. So the license is just a commodity. So if you're paying for a commodity from Microsoft, you're actually better off to purchase it through a partner like ourselves who will give you added discount. So if that's of interest to anybody, by all means reach out to me and I will share my email address. There's been an influx of questions. Sorry, Ian.
And one from me, there is very little AI funding out there apart from Microsoft. I am building an AI funding list, looking at tech and innovation and stuff like that. And I will be sharing that with Steve. So he will be able to give you sources. So if you want to work with Joseph, and I have, and he's brilliant, we will be creating a list that will help you source grants to be able to do that.
Perfect. I will